Hi, I'm Gracie X, and I recently wrote an article for Mind Body Green called How I Raise Teenagers That Tell Me Everything Even When It's Hard. You can look at it on my website, graciex.com, GRACIEX.com. Anyway, this article was wildly popular. It got about 65,000 shares. And I was thinking about it afterwards, and what I realized was, because people were coming to me and saying, what are you doing with your teenagers? What are you doing that they're still confiding in you and telling you everything, even hard things? And I thought about it, and I wrote down several things that I was doing, and then I realized, these are how I approach relationship in the ethical, non-monogamy world. And I thought that that was really interesting, how those skills and values really, I think, make me a better parent. Some of the things I wrote about in the article are allowing your children to have separate thoughts and values, being curious, being a good listener, being a good communicator, learning about how to communicate well, like taking classes, something very common in the world of polyamory, dealing with your trauma, taking ownership of, this is mine, I don't want to project it on you. Also work that friends of mine who are polyamorous and I have done, because I want to be good at being in relationship, and that's one thing that can really hinder a relationship. And getting a life of your own was what I wrote about it in the article. Also, all part of what I consider my polyamorous values. So the biggest one, though, and this is something that when I talk about, people who are polyamorous really understand what I'm talking about, and this was sort of the essence, I think, of the article, not having an ownership mentality. And as a poly person, what that means to me is that I don't believe that I own my lover's sexuality. I don't own their body. I don't own their actions. They're separate, and I don't shame them around those things. This is something that I think works really wonderfully with teenagers. This whole idea, and I bring it up because it is so common and prevalent to see the opposite happening in the world. There is a sense of, I get to dictate what you wear, I get to tell you what you can do sexually. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not protective of my kid, that I'm not, I want to give her knowledge, I want to give her information, I want her to make good choices, and I want to help her, I want to guide her and help facilitate those choices, but that's very different than telling her what she can and cannot do. And I had a friend of mine, her daughter, she told me, her daughter, this is an example of ownership mentality, her daughter showed up after school with a boy, and my friend said to me, I opened the door and there's this boy with my daughter, and I just said, oh, no, 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 no. You didn't tell me you had a boyfriend. You're not going in your bedroom with that boyfriend. Pretty shaming right from the get-go. And I thought about that, and I thought about what I would do under similar circumstances, and I have had similar circumstances. I would invite that person into my home. I would get to know them. I would offer them a cup of tea. If I had a bad feeling about that person, I might say, I want you two to stay here in the public space of the living room. And, I would talk to my daughter later about, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I think we need to do around boundaries right now. Really different than feeling that I own my daughter, I own her sexuality, I get to dictate what she does. And I think that that is one of the reasons that teenagers are supposedly so notoriously difficult. I don't feel they're that difficult. I mean, there is a certain rebellious thing that's happening, and I think that's fine. I think that's developmentally what happens. Anyway, those are my thoughts on doing ethical non-monogamy and how those principles have really informed and helped me be a better parent. And I hope you enjoyed watching it. Have a great day.